I don't usually cover video game related topics on my channel, but since I am a huge Star Wars fan and now as an extension a huge Battlefront fan, and one of my favorite things to do in the new Battlefront is play some of the heroes and villains, I decided to make a list of my top 5 heroes and villains that I would like to see in the upcoming Battlefront DLC that has been promised. It's been really great being able to play as some of my all-time favorite heroes and villains, and it seriously is a rush to be able to blow away 5 people at once with Han Solo or engage Vader in a one-on-one duel with Luke in the new game. It's seriously a huge treat. And with EA promising us new DLC content for the game, and included in that new DLC, new heroes and villains to play as, I wanted to make a list of the top 5 heroes and villains I want to see in the upcoming content. As of right now, it is unclear if we will be seeing any prequel-era maps or characters in the new DLC, since the core purchase game only includes original trilogy content, and as a result of this, I have chosen to only include characters that we have in the original trilogy, with the exception of one. That one is, of course, the one that I would like to see the most from the prequel-era films, and I'm just covering in case they do decide to give us some prequel-era content. I have also opted to not include any Force Awakens characters in this list, since they will most likely be in a Battlefront sequel, and that is a list for another time, so stay tuned for that later on. So with all clarification out of the way, and in no particular order, let's begin with the top 5 heroes and villains I want to see in the upcoming Battlefront DLC. So for number 5, I picked the most obvious choice, and that is Chewbacca. Now this is, of course, like I said, obvious, but nonetheless, I would love to see this character, and I feel he's pretty much a guarantee for your upcoming DLC. Chewbacca's weapon, the bowcaster, is actually already featured in Battlefront, and I would love to see if maybe Chewbacca had some special melee attack that he could use to take out multiple enemies simultaneously. I'd also love to see some of the other special abilities that he have. Maybe he could have even more health than a even regular hero. That would be pretty cool, and really a great intro where we could just see Chewbacca roar as he's getting ready to go and of course fight against the Empire. Chewbacca, like I said, probably a shoo-in. Most likely, if I had to bet any money on one character appearing in the new DLC, it would be Chewbacca. So for number 4, I selected Bossk, of course, Boba Fett's partner and another bounty hunter. I think it's important to have another blasting-wielding adversary on the villain side. And he could also be a hero with a little bit extra health and someone that could go up against Chewbacca pretty effectively. Like I said, with only one blaster-wielding adversary on the villain side, I think it's important to get another one. We can't just all have Force users because we have Darth Vader and the Emperor now, and that's all we have, and they're Force users, and then we have Chewbacca. But Bossk would be really cool. Again, he might be similar to Chewbacca in the other sense that if he had a melee attack that would be more powerful than the regular melee attack, that would be awesome as well. Or, of course, like Han Solo, different blaster options, or Boba Fett, different weapon options that he can toggle in between while he's fighting, of course. And I think Bossk is another character that is likely to see because we need more blaster-wielding foes on the villain side. So let's go ahead and talk about number 3. So at number 3, I have Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's important, similar to how we need another blaster wielder on the villain side, to get another lightsaber on the hero side. And Obi-Wan did have a lightsaber in the original trilogy, and he actually did fight against Darth Vader. It'd be really cool to meet up against Darth Vader again. It might be in Death Star DLC. We don't know. Fingers crossed on that one as well. I'd love to see a Death Star map included, and similarly how we can kind of recreate battles that Luke and Vader had. Love to recreate the battle on the Death Star between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. That would be really great. Obi-Wan, probably another character that we're honestly likely to see. He probably won't move as fast as Luke. I think that's fairly obvious. He'll probably move around Vader speed, or maybe even as slow as the Emperor, either one of those characters, but still have a lightsaber and still be really powerful. If he had something like a Jedi mind trick that he could use in Battlefront, whether they could implement that somehow, that would be really cool. So for number 2, I selected my only prequel era character, and that is, of course, Darth Maul. I would love to see a character as fast as Luke on the villain side, and those dual-bladed lightsabers were awesome. In Battlefront 2, playing as Darth Maul was my favorite villain to play as, just because of how fast he was and the way he moved his lightsaber, and being able to witness him moving that lightsaber in the graphics that Battlefront has will really be stunning if that ends up happening. Again, of course, he's a prequel era character as far as the films are concerned at this point, but I think that getting prequel DLC might be an option. I know they released a questionnaire and they asked people, what do you want in Battlefront DLC? And I myself, I did fill that out and I did say prequel era stuff because really I'd love to see Darth Maul and maybe some of the other characters, but really the front runner in this would be Darth Maul. Of course, you can have him similar to Luke. He could have like a force push. I assume he would play very similarly to how Luke plays, but nonetheless, love to see a Darth Maul in Battlefront, and that's why he's my number 2. Let's go ahead and talk about number 1. At number 1, I have Yoda. Now, I'm glad I don't have to design the games and make the call because I'm not sure if I could pick whether him having a lightsaber or not. Of course, he did not wield a lightsaber in the original trilogy because he was playing a much different role in those films as more of a teacher rather than the warrior he played in the prequel era films. If Yoda does end up being a hero, I would guess that he wouldn't have a lightsaber simply because the Emperor does not in Battlefront, and that's still not taking anything away from how powerful Yoda would be, since we have a character who can do a lot of the stuff that we can see Yoda can do in the Emperor. Of course, he can absorb blaster bolts, and then he has the lightning. I could definitely see some of those abilities carrying over with Yoda. He'd definitely have a powerful force push, maybe a force push similarly to how Luke does, but it would just be more powerful. And then how the Emperor uses his core lightning in the game, we may be able to have like telekinesis with Yoda, where he's able to throw stormtroopers around when they're close enough to him. That would be really epic to witness. So in my opinion, it's not really a necessity for Yoda to have a lightsaber in this new game just because he's so powerful in the Force anyway, but if they wanted to implement him with the lightsaber, I would obviously not be opposed to that either. So there's my list, guys. Those are the top 5 heroes and villains I would like to see in Battlefront DLC. Of course, I tried to keep this list to mainly original trilogy characters with the exception of Darth Maul, and I really could have picked 25 characters that I would love to see. Again, Jango Fett with the prequel era, Count Dooku, all of those. I heard even a rumor that there might be a Rancor, that you could be able to play as a Rancor on the villains team, because that's a thing. That would be really cool as well. So anyway, leave in the comments, what do you guys think? Who would you want to be able to play as in Battlefront? Name your top 5 heroes or even top 5 villains. Even separate the lists and give me a list of 10 in total of the heroes and villains you would like to see. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.